Hey guys, John here. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be cleaning a carburetor on a 2003 Honda CRF 230F. This is going to be a full-on detailed cleaning of the carburetor. 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter. There's the battery. And these should be 8 mils. Alright, 8 millimeter for the battery. I actually have a remote charging device where we could just plug it in right here and start charging the actual battery. But since this battery's been sitting for years, it doesn't matter, it's not going to hold the charge. Take that, throw that with that. We need to drain the fuel out of this thing because it is a couple years old now and it smells like varnish. Now to get the carburetor off, we're going to have to access it from the other side. Let's get an air tool and blow off all the spider webs. All right, let's get the spider webs out of here. Now we're going to start by unscrewing the screw here. You have to remember, fuel, gasoline, only has a shelf life of 30 days. But, depending on how it's stored, it can last up to 3 to 6 months. But you also should be adding a fuel additive to help keep the fuel good, to keep water from getting in it. This fuel has been sitting for at least 2 years, I think. So that's that on the carburetor. Pull that off. Out of the way. Now the fuel is already off, so we'll just start undoing the screws here and here. See, you can actually see the old fuel dripping out. It's almost like an oil now. This gas smells pretty bad. We're going to take the carburetor apart, but I want to put the parts not on the ground. So I'm going to put them on this blue paper towel so you don't lose them. Don't want that. Unscrew it here. Screw there. Should be only 3 screws holding this together. This tube is just like a breather tube or an overflow, I think. All right, look at that. Nice and, you want to call that brown? Okay. Now we're going to, now the throttle right now is stuck. Can't move it at all. So we're going to have to spray some WD in there and get that freed up. We're going to spray some carb cleaner in here. Try to get that all clean and freed up. And after all that's done, we're going to drain the fuel tank. Let's use some PB Blaster since I don't see anything but this for WD-40. Carbon choke cleaner. I'm going to grab some glasses because I don't want the stuff in my eye. Okay, let's take a look in here. It's just kind of gummed up. See all the gas that has just been sitting in the carburetor over time has gotten around that little throttle there. So let's put some PB Blaster inside that area, both sides. And we will manually press up with it with the screwdriver. Let's get a flathead screwdriver. Spray a little bit more up top just to get some lubrication going in there. Okay, it's released. All right, so the throttle is released now. So now we have throttle response. There we go. Now it's moving like it should. Spray a little bit more in there. A little bit more. Take some carb clean. And we're going to spray off all of the float and surrounding parts in here. I don't think I need to clean the actual inside of the carburetor, the internal parts, because I did it the last time I cleaned this carburetor. And the last time I did that, it sat for so long that the fuel actually all dissipated out of here. This time we still have fuel in here sitting. Oh, we want to get all the old junk out of here. And we'll clean the inside. Throttle up. Clean that out. Okay. Let's put some air through this. Let's try to blow out the carburetor here. Now before we put actual air through this point, we need to disconnect the actual fuel hose, which is actually already disconnected right here. When I pulled the carburetor off, it disconnected. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull this float out. Looks fine. Doesn't look like we need to really do anything except a little bit of carb clean. Put this over here so we don't lose it. A little bit of air. Okay. Float looks fine. Let's get a flashlight, look in here. It's a little dirty, but pretty sure it should run fine. Let's just put a little bit of carb cleanup in here. Let's throttle up. Let's put a little bit of carb cleanup up through here. Okay, it's coming out. You can actually see the discoloration right here. It's like a brown color. Kind of greenish, actually. Do it one more time. Get all that cleaned out. We'll do this one as well. It's another jet. Okay. Throttle back. Actually, let's throttle back up. Get the air out. Throttle up. Okay. Now usually, if the carburetor's super gummed up, we will remove these. But since I did it last time, I don't think we're going to do it. So the issue that we're having here, when the throttle was stuck, is the same issue we have on that one right there. So we'll do that next. And we're gonna have to look at this. We need to clean this out. This thing's dirty. It's pretty gummy in there. All the stuff has settled to the bottom. Okay. Blow this one out. Tire is pretty bad on this. It needs to be replaced, but it's low anyways, and the tires for these are pretty cheap. They're like $30 to $50. This tire is still decent, but the back tire should definitely be replaced. See, it's actually got cracks all the way around this thing because it's been sitting for so long. So that's going to be another $40 or so, $40 to $50 I think for the tire, and then another $30 something to install, which isn't a big deal. Okay, we're not going to clean the outside of this. We do need to put the float back in. Grab the float, grab the needle. See this valve right here, make sure it collapses like it should. Yep, it's fine. Put this back there. This is what lets the fuel into the carburetor and stops the fuel from getting into the carburetor. Just make sure the carburetor does not overflow. Yeah, all right. This goes back on like that. So this needs to come up here at an angle like so. Actually needs to come over here like that, actually. So that can go just like that. Now I put the screws back in it. Hold the carburetor, the screw there. There's 1, 2, and 3. Two, number 3. You don't want to do these super tight, just snug. Go too tight and you're going to start stripping the actual top portion of the actual head of the screw. All right, now that that's done, let's drain the fuel tank. I don't know how much fuel is in this thing. Hopefully not very much. Now we will remove the fuel from the fuel tank here. Just take the fuel line, turn it to the on position. Not much fuel is actually coming out of this thing, so maybe it's clogged a little bit. Let's put a little bit of air through here. All right, fuel valve is on. Oh, no. Okay. Reserve, we got the reserve on right now. So that's just a little bit of fuel in there, not very much at all. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some fuel in there, turn it off. We're gonna put some fuel in there, shake it around a little bit and drain it out. All right, let's put some fuel in this thing. Make sure this is tight, which it's not. I'm gonna get fuel everywhere. Let's put some fuel in this thing. That should be enough. Shake the bike around a little bit. Put it on reserve. Put it on reserve and then drain what's in. Once we get the old fuel out, we'll put the carburetor back on. Tighten it back up. We'll put this fuel line back on. We're going to find 2 clamps because this didn't have clamps on it. We'll clamp the fuel lines on. Actually, let's do this. While that's draining, let's find the fuel clamps, which should be in this box. There's one. This is my carburetor extra parts box, so extra parts we don't ever use. This thing is still draining. Okay, let's turn it off for now. Put this clamp on, if it'll fit. Doesn't look like it will. Okay. All right, that clamp is on. This one is kind of expanded a little bit. Let's turn this to that way. Let's put this here. Clamp. Put the clamp on. Now we'll put the carburetor back on. Fish this hose down here back to where it was. Okay, put the carburetor back in its area. All right, almost got it. Almost got this hose to go all the way down. All right, there's that. Carburetor goes all the way in. All right, now we'll do the same thing. Screw this back, but don't do it too tight to where you strip the head of the actual screw. Turn it a little bit so we can get to it easier. Okay, now this one, same thing. Don't over tighten it. I have an issue with over tightening things, so I have to not over tighten things. And when do you think you're over tightening it? When you're doing this, and you're snapping stuff. Okay, tight enough. All right, fuel line back on after we find a different clamp. I've got tons of clamps, but will they work? Hopefully this will work fine. Okay, so we'll do this one here. Yeah, see this fuel line? It's absolutely soaked with fuel. Let's see if we have any new fuel lines here. This one's really hard. That one's old. This is not fuel line. This is, but it's really hard. We're just going to deal with what we have for now, and we'll replace that fuel line later on because we still need to get a battery for it. So we'll just take this fuel line off later, but for right now, just put it back on. Let's get a flashlight so we can see what we're doing here. There we go. Choke goes up, out of the way. Put this fuel line back on, which yeah, it definitely needs to be replaced. It is super squishy. I think as soon as we put fuel in this thing, yeah, we have to replace this fuel line now. All right, now I'm back from Cycle Gear. I ended up buying a new chain for the bike. I could not find anybody that would actually sell just the master link, or they were supposedly out of them. So I ended up buying a new chain. So I need to cut it to length. So we'll do that in a bit. But right now I'm going to get the fuel line on here. I want to get this bike done and running so it's usable. I am going to buy a new tire, but it's not going to be for probably a couple weeks or so because I don't really need to buy a new tire. It needs one, but I don't need to buy it immediately. I don't even have the money to be spending on that kind of stuff at the moment. Let that drain, get all the rest of the little crap out of it. Okay, now put the new fuel line on, and then let's put the other clamp on it. Okay, there's the new clamp, and it goes around right to there. All right. Okay, clamp is on there. We're going to turn this clamp to the top. The lighting in my shop is absolutely terrible, so forgive me for having to use a flashlight. There's that. Now we can do the battery. All right, now we got the new battery here. It came with everything we need to install the battery. Okay. Is there a difference? No, there is not. The new battery up here. Why is it so tight? Okay, it's supposed to be. It's got these little rubber grommet-like things in here, rubber pads. Okay. Now we're gonna do, let's actually clean this up. It's actually pretty rusty, corroded-like, so let's get some sandpaper, clean that up. All right, now we got our sandpaper. Let's clean the terminals here. You can also use a wire brush, but for right now, we're just gonna use some 800 grit sandpaper, because as soon as it touches, it's gonna make a good connection when it's tight. That's good enough. This one is not even corroded or dirty at all, so not really worth wasting time doing that. Let's get the screwdriver. Oh wait, we're on 8 mil. So we'll put this in here, and then this, and then we're going to do a washer on the bolt. And then we need to do the negative on that. And now we can screw this in. You don't want to do it super tight, just snug. We are going to use a ratchet, but you don't want to strip this stuff. I do have extras, but you don't need to be damaging stuff either. Now that we have the battery in, let's tighten the terminals up. Just snug. Don't over tighten it. Okay. Now we can add fuel. Enough just to make it run. I do want to check the oil since it's been sitting for a very long time. It's just too tight for my fingers to get in there. It does not want to really spin too easily. It's plastic. Put a little bit of lube on there. Makes it a little bit easier to come out. All right, let's check this. It's got plenty of oil. It's a little dark. Not bad. We'll change it later. I just want to make sure this thing will run, and then we can change the oil later. I want to get this one going next. Okay, fuel cap on. Battery is in and connected. Ignition is on. Fuel is on. Choke on this bike is up. Looks like. Yeah, choke is up. Right. Where is choke at? This bike never worked on full choke. Let's go to reserve because maybe it's not enough fuel in there. Almost. Almost. Let's get the choke off. Alright, choke is back on right now. The battery is actually starting to die. Need to charge it. See this one? Same thing. Full throttle. And she's dead. Just let it run. I need to charge the battery. If I have to, I'll pull the carburetor apart and then I will rebuild it or clean it up. Smoky. I'm sitting for so long. Let's put this battery cover back on. Just the carburetor here a little bit for the idle. A little bit more. What's going on here? Huh. Battery's about to be completely dead. This thing is annoying. Pretty sure there's enough fuel in there. open this smoky garage here. Turn the idle down a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna have to pull the carb apart. This isn't gonna work. All right, pull the carburetor off. Let's turn the fuel off. Bring the bike over here. Okay, we're gonna need a screwdriver. We're gonna need an 8mm. We're gonna need this thing out of my way. Okay, let's pull this carburetor off and clean it. Unscrew this. Unscrew that. We're going to need to disconnect the fuel line again. Not a big deal. I turned the fuel off. There is fuel in the carburetor now. All right, fuel line is disconnected. Now, pull the carburetor off and out. Hopefully we don't catch on fire because we've got hot exhaust and now we have fuel touching hot exhaust. Very unsafe. Probably very stupid. But we didn't die, so it's okay. All right, pull the fuel bowl out. And there's some gunk in there. It's okay. We're going to clean the carburetor this time. Now this might be smaller than the 8mm, which it completely is. Okay, now see what size this is here. This is a 6mm. We will use the 6mm here. Break that loose. We're not gonna pull the float off, I don't think, because the float is fine. We've already cleaned that. Oh yeah, you can actually definitely see that we should have pulled this off earlier, but that's okay. See how green it is? We'll clean all that, get that gunk off. And then the other one, we're going to need a flathead screwdriver to get this one out. All right. Yeah, this is definitely gonna fix our issue with running, because this is running pretty bad. Now, I don't think I'm gonna pull this one out, because this is like to control fuel to air mixture or something. I'm not sure what that one is. I don't really want to pull it out because I'm not 100% what it does. But these two jets definitely need to get dealt with. I cleaned these before. We will clean them again. Okay, now we need carb clean. We need a flashlight. And we're gonna need something to clean the inside of this, which there is a tool to clean these, which I will grab. Okay, it is not in there. Apparently not in here. Well, there it is. I thought it was blue for some reason. Alright, so these little pieces here are what we use to clean the little holes on the actual jet here. And these actually might not be small enough. They're not. Alright, we're going to grab a needle instead. I'm gonna grab glasses, and I don't want to get stuff in my eyes. I'm gonna need a needle here without getting poked. There's our needle. It's like a T needle. Okay. Oops, losing everything. Okay, so now we're going to run the needle through. Well, this might not even be small enough. All right, more items. We're going to need something even skinnier than that, which is going to be wire. We're going to use a piece of wire we're going to cut off and strip. And we're going to use it from something I don't care about, which is none of this. It's right there. There we go. Piece of wire. So we'll just cut that off. Cut this. Okay, so the needle is too big. Those are too big. This should be fine. We don't need a ton of length here. Okay, so now we take the wire that we have and we poke through the hole. Clean out anything that's inside the actual jet. And once you have gotten through all of the jet holes, then next what we will do is we will spray it out with Carb Clean, and then we will spray it out with air. Here's our Carb Clean. Take a piece of paper towel, clean it off, and we're going to look through it. And if we could see light through all of the holes, then that will be good. I do need the air nozzle. It's really a good thing about this carburetor. It's really easy to take off like that and clean it out. Now we just blow this out, and then we look down the center. It's pretty clear in the center, so we're going to blow it out with some Carb Clean. Make sure all the holes are blowing out, so we'll just hold the end. All of them except for one is clear. This one right here. Okay, now do our test. Look into the light. Okay, now we got one more we got to clear out here. This one is not totally 100%. Now we're good with that one. Now we're good with that one. Check again. Looks better. Let's blow it from the opposite way. Okay, we can see through all of them. Now, let's do this other one here. We're going to Carb Clean it off. Carb Clean the inside. And see, I'm going to blow this one out too here. This one has two holes on each side, which are now clear, but we are going to poke through just in case. And I should have had the battery charger on this thing while I was sitting here. Clean that. Blow it out one more time. All right, now we can put them back in. Let's actually do this. Let's look in here. See what we can see. Let's spray some Carb Clean in there real quick, just in case. All right, that's clear. Put this jet back in. Remember, these ones you definitely do not want to over tighten. You know what we didn't do? We didn't look to inspect completely through that one. This one I definitely want to re-clear it. So let's re-clear this one, because I cannot see all the way through it, and this one is very long. So we're going to need a longer piece here of wire. There we go. Let's just take off a couple strands here. And we're going to run it through. Okay, then we've got one through it. Let's get a couple more through. Let's try 3. 3 seems like too much. Now I can't see through it at all. That is definitely a lot cleaner. Before I could not see through this at all. Oops. Oh yeah, that's definitely better. All right, that's definitely good. Now let's put it back in. Okay. Lost the screwdriver. There it is. These you don't want to tighten too much because they are brass and they will definitely break or strip. These are something you don't want stripping. It's tight enough, no tighter. Now this one, let's double check this one. Clean and clear. Clean on all 4 sides here. Clean on all 4 sides here. Perfect. Same thing with this one. Don't put it in too tight. You don't want to damage it. That's it. That's it on that. Now we can put the float bowl back on it. Let's clean this out one more time here. I don't want a bunch of junk sitting in there. Take the screwdriver, put this through it, clean anything out of there. Yeah, see there's a bit of junk in there. Get all the junk out. Clean it one more time with a carb clean. One more time. Good enough. Put this down in there, put this up on here. Make sure that goes in the right area. Boom. Now let's put the screws back in it. We'll do one snug, or at least touching. Touching, good. So I don't have to keep holding it. Number 2 screw. And number 3. I think we should be good now. And if not, then we will have to remove that and then go in deeper detail on cleaning the carburetor out. So let's just do this. If you're cleaning a carburetor, the way I did it the first time, let's not make you work twice. Let's clean it out the first time. Because the carburetor was already off, and I could already cleaned it, but I thought it would have been okay, but it was not. So if you have an option to clean it while it's out completely, I would do that. Don't do the job twice, is pretty much what I just did. And don't force anything. We don't want to damage anything on this. Choke down. Why are we having a bigger issue now than before? There we go. All right, carburetor is in on the right side. Get it in all the way on the left side. It's not, there we go. It was kind of stuck on one of the edges. Which it seems like it might still be. Yes, it is. Okay. Come on, you. Get around the lip. There we go. I think that's good now. Okay, carburetor's on there. I almost feel like it's not complete on this side. It does not appear to be completely in on this side here. There we go. Let's see, one more time here. It does not seem to be completely in. Lift this up if we can see completeness. No, it's not complete. It's not complete because there's a lip inside here. It is not going by. Let's do this. Let's look in here. Yeah, it needs to go all the way in, so we need to loosen this up a little bit more. See, there's a groove on the outside of the carburetor that needs to fit in a little pocket space in this little groove of the rubber piece here. Yeah, that is a lot better right there. That's where it should be. Yeah, not that we were sucking in air from anywhere, but we were not completely closed. And now we are completely in the groove. Okay, that one's good. Let's do this one here. Bring it out a little bit so we can grab onto it better. Okay, that's good. Now let's deal with the actual drain tube here. We don't want it going where it can get caught up on anything. Okay, awesome. Okay, now let's do the fuel line again. Lift the choke out of the way. Fuel line on. Fuel line is on good. Clamp. I can't even see it, so let's... Alright, clamp is on, not completely, now it is. Now, fuel is on. Let's do reserve. Fuel's on reserve. Who knows if this thing's gonna start up. We're gonna have to charge it for sure. Oh, key on. Well, that's a lot better. Besides it turning off. I don't want to get mud in the connector back here. So let's close it off. Let's put a little more fuel in this thing. That's good enough. Don't need to waste it. Okay, let's do choke up. Adjust the idle a little bit. There we go. All right, let's go test this thing out, maybe. All right, well, there you have it. Full complete cleaning of a 2003 Honda CRF 230F carburetor, and it runs phenomenal now. Stay tuned for when we clean the carburetor out on the 2017 Yamaha TTR 50.